As Mercury goes retrograde and Venus enters the sign of her fall, where she will be ruled by Mercury retrograde, August will bring plenty of opportunities to rethink our desires and goals in relationships. Expect the return of exes and major questions being brought up to your attention. Let's take a closer look at the month of August through the lens of love and talk about all 12 rising signs. My name is Anastasia. I'm a traditional Western astrologer specializing in natal, relationship, and predictive astrology. I do readings, I create content for you guys. If you like my work and you want to show your support, please take a few seconds to leave me a like or a comment, subscribe, and press that notification bell. Watch another one of my videos. Anything and everything helps, brings more attention my way, encourages me to put out more content. You can also say thank you by buying me a coffee or tea. I appreciate that as well. And before we dive in, if you're looking for a personal one-on-one consultation where I look at your chart and answer your questions about love, about your karmic purpose, or your year coming up, you can book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. There's a couple of different durations. I can help you choose the date for your wedding and talk about anything you want to know. Additionally, on my website, you can find a variety of candles and oils that I create. I work with astrology in a proactive way. I really want to help people who are struggling with different areas of their lives. So I create candles and oils that capture the most benevolent, potent, strong planets. In this video, I'd like to highlight my Exalted Venus candle. It is a beautiful green color. It smells like the ocean, so it has a lovely, refreshing scent. And this one captures Venus in Pisces. So Venus in the sign of the exaltation, the most romantic, the most relaxed, generous, loving, and forgiving Venus. So this could be perfect for the month of August, while Venus will be in Virgo, which is the opposite, a little bit critical, a little bit perfectionist, struggling to relax type energy. Nothing is wrong with that placement. I'm born with it, but it could be beneficial to have a bit of a chill energy throughout the month. You can also find out on my website, there's a Venus in Libra candle. This one smells like jasmine, and this one captures Venus in the sign of rulership of Libra, which is also very relaxed, very creative, great at flirting and balancing relationships and finding fairness and focusing on beauty in life. Highly recommend this for anyone born with their Venus in Virgo, Scorpio, or Aries, the signs of fall and detriment. If your Venus is in the dark house 6th, 8th, or 12th, if it's retrograde, if you're born with Venus retrograde, or if it's making any aspect to Saturn, Pluto, Uranus, which might sabotage the peace in your relationships. So thank you for listening. Let's talk about August, right? We care about Venus, we care about Mercury retrograde, we care about Mars. Venus is the planet of connection, Mars is the planet of desire, Mercury is the planet of communication. And August definitely has a bit of a rough energy, right? Let's be honest, right? We start off, the first 4 days are fine. Venus is in Leo. You're still craving attention, you're giving more compliments, you're seeking compliments in relationships. Although immediately on the 2nd of August, Venus will square Uranus, so there might be a bit of a breakthrough, revelation, shakeups in relationships, an opportunity to part with the old, welcome the new. Doesn't have to be bad. I think it's just a pressure test for the relationship. On the 4th of August, Venus enters Virgo. We'll be here until August 29th. Venus in Virgo is very service-oriented, very practical, can be very attentive to the needs of the partner, very giving and generous in terms of, taking care of your laundry, your bills, attending to your needs, remembering every little thing. Of course, with that can also come the difficulty where maybe you are struggling to let things go, struggling to be in the moment. Once again, highly recommend my Venus in Libra creations, Exalted Venus or Venus in Taurus. Anything Venus is really good for this period because you may notice a tendency to be a bit more critical, a bit more like critical and picky and just sort of perfectionist. And Venus, the planet of love, doesn't really, it's not, Virgo is not the best place for Venus, because Virgo is the sign of the mind, and where the intellect is strong and you're noticing every little thing, it's really hard to be just sort of, chill and happy. Not impossible, but it could be tough. So getting additional support could be great. And we get this Venus all the way until August 29th. And then on the 5th of August, Mercury goes retrograde, and Mercury will be retrograde also pretty much the entire time. So not only we have Venus in a more compromised position, we also have Mercury retrograde, right? And Mercury rules Venus because Venus is in Virgo. So when Venus is critical and analytical, who does she respond to? She is under the rule of Mercury that is confused, right? So you might be critical, but uncertain at the same time, like unsure of what is it that's bugging you. I also have a Mercury in Virgo candle for Mercury retrograde. If you're seeking to sort of cover yourself in candles and oils, this could be the choice. But Mercury retrograde, it of course may bring up the energy of like exes returning, as it always does, lessons from the past that you haven't learned fully, romantic, creative, professional. It will depend on where it is in your chart. It will be the most romantically oriented for I want to say Capricorn and Pisces, Capricorn, Aquarius, Pisces risings. And potentially, so what are we doing? Virgo and Leo. Maybe Taurus risings as well, because then it's your 5th house. Aries risings. Yeah, so Aries, Taurus, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces, it's the most romantic for you. But for all of us, right, we'll get a chance to address some important questions. On the 7th of August, Mercury conjoins Venus. You get a chance to communicate with charm. Even though Mercury is retrograde, Venus is in the sign of its fall. At least you're able to express how you feel. On August 19th, Venus will go through a bit of a ringer. Give it 3 days before, 3 days after. Venus will square Jupiter opposed Saturn. So this is another time of like Venus in the square to Jupiter wants to enjoy life, wants to have fun, wants to create, wants to be expansive, doesn't really feel like working really hard potentially. And then the opposition to Saturn is this like harsh reality check, a blockage, a separation, a delay, romantic tests, right? It's the time where your relationship truly gets tested, pressure tested, as Saturn likes to do, to see whether it has staying power and long-term potential. But you may have to deal with some kind of challenge. We get the full moon in Aquarius. This would be potentially about love for Leo risings and for my math is off. So Aquarius, yeah, like Leo risings and maybe Leo, Virgo, Libra risings. Yeah, Leos and Libra risings, because for Libras it's in the 5th house of sex and pleasure, and for Leo risings it's literally in the 7th house of relationship. So it might be the most kind of romantically interesting for you. For Libras, it could also be about pregnancy, children, but more on that when we get there. August 22nd is a bit rough also. Venus squares Mars. So it's not the best month for love. It's definitely like, it's a bit tricky. So Venus squares Mars on the 22nd of August, which is very much masculine energy versus feminine energy, the energy of receptivity and sort of yin energy versus outgoing, active, young energy. There might be relationship difficulties, conflicts, drama coming up, especially if there is like underlying sexual, competitive, power type of tension. In a healthy relationship, this could be just like exciting sexual activity, so it doesn't have to be really negative. On the 27th of August, Venus will trine Uranus, which could be an opportunity to experiment romantically, have fun, try something new. On the 28th, Venus opposes Neptune. Venus is not super happy in Virgo, and she's not making a ton of good aspects, so it will be a true test. So the opposition to Neptune on the 28th can bring a sense of disappointment, illusions, realizing that something you imagined as perfect is not quite perfect. So rose-colored glasses coming off, sort of harsh realizations, feeling insecure, and that putting pressure on your relationship as well. And then things do start to look up, but all the way at the end of August, right? We have to cross through the more challenging path. We have to talk about things that bother us. Like, Venus is exalted in Pisces, and this is great, but Venus in Virgo knows that you really have to discuss those things, and sometimes it's gonna come across as critical or rough, and it might challenge your relationship, but it's necessary. And so I think if you get through it, if the relationship gets through it, especially for those of you who are in relationships, but it could also be about any other relationship in your life. Once you get through it, on the other side, on August 29th, Venus enters Libra and will be here until September 22nd. So this is very nice, I think, and very promising. Because Venus in Libra is very like charming and relaxed, and that's why I recommend this candle for everyone, because it's a very different energy. And when Venus enters Libra, immediately she will trine Pluto, bringing us an ability to transform all of the frustration into either a beautiful art project, a unique style, or a new beginning in a romantic relationship. So this is it in terms of like just overall energies of the month romantically. And now let's take a look at the 12 rising signs. Before that, if you want me to look at your chart and answer questions about your love potential, about your best career, your karmic purpose, if you want me to look at your year to come, or your existing relationship, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. So starting with Aries rising. If you are an Aries rising, you are ruled by Mars. Your partner is ruled by Venus. Mars is in your 3rd house the entire month, and you are busy out and about. You are traveling, maybe going on short trips, connecting with siblings, networking, meeting people in the neighborhood. Your life is busy, fiery, sort of powerful, right? You may deal with some kind of frustrations this month that come from Saturn in the 12th. So maybe something being out of your control, maybe past challenges, past traumas, unresolved sort of issues coming to haunt you. Venus, the planet that rules your partner, is in the 5th house early in the month. So until August 4th, she's in the 5th house. There's also a new moon in your 5th house, and the sun is in your 5th house. So your partner early in the month potentially is, and this is like, if you're in a relationship, Venus being in the 5th house could suggest that early in the month your partner is making art, spending time with children, maybe exploring their creative talents, or there's like higher sex drive in your relationship potentially. If you're single, this could suggest that you are more inclined to go out and have fun and try out new skills, explore new hobbies, and in the process you're likely to meet someone. The new moon in the 5th house on August 4th is pretty exciting, I think, because that is a sign of new beginnings in your house of romance, pleasure, children. So for those in relationships, this could be making things more official, talking about having children, getting pregnant, having a baby, those are all possibilities here. For those who are single, new moon in the 5th house could be a start of romance. It could be a start of a new phase in your love life when you decide to go out and sort of maybe explore dating new people, be more open-minded, more sort of have more fun. Venus enters Virgo, and between August 4th and 29th, she will be in Virgo, the 6th house, which for those in relationships could suggest that the partner is becoming really busy. They're working on some kind of project. They are taking care of their health. They're becoming more health conscious and maybe spending more time exercising, eating healthy. For those single, Venus entering the 6th house between the 4th and the 29th of August might suggest that you're starting to look at a colleague through a different lens. Maybe you're starting to feel attracted to a colleague. It could suggest that you're going out more with your work buddies, and maybe you're meeting someone through like a work outing. They don't have to be your colleague. It can also suggest that for the next few weeks, you will be very practical about how you show love. You become less, even if you're born with Venus in Libra or Venus in Taurus, for example, the next few weeks with Venus and Virgo might be like, I know I used to love sort of gifts, but now I would love for you to help me carry my laundry to the laundromat or something like that. So you start to feel a bit more practical about things. Venus is in its fall in Virgo, so watch out for being critical of your partner and nitpicky. I highly recommend my Venus in Libra candle. This one smells like honeysuckle jasmine, and it highlights your 7th house of relationships. This is perfect, especially if you're born with Venus in Aries, Virgo, or Scorpio. You might struggle in love, and this could be a good solution. I also have an oil, so one or the other is great. Mercury goes retrograde, right? Mercury goes retrograde, and it will be retrograde in Leo, your 5th house, between August 14th and August 28th. In my monthly horoscope, I guess I made a mistake. I was saying that Mercury goes retrograde on the 5th, but on the 4th, but it actually is the 5th. But one day doesn't make much of a difference. But so Mercury goes retrograde. It starts in your house of career between the 4th and 14th, in the house of work. So maybe you're dealing with some work matters, or maybe you're addressing some practical concerns in a relationship, right? Like maybe you're addressing some matters surrounding the care of your spouse's mother or something. But between the 14th and the 28th, Mercury will retrograde into your 5th house, which is the house of romance. So Mercury being retrograde in the house of romance might be the time someone from your past knocks on your door, someone you forgot existed, an ex, an old crush. Someone might be trying to make their way into your life, and I would warn you to be careful in terms of taking them back. Just be careful. You don't always want to do things twice, especially if the relationship didn't work out and was kind of toxic in the first place. But Mercury retrograding in the 5th could also be the time when you are looking for the spark in a relationship, especially if things have been feeling stale. I would encourage you to go on dates, to remember what you first loved about your significant other, and maybe write each other love letters or something like that. August 22nd, Venus, the partner, will square Mars, you, from the 6th into the 3rd. So August 22nd, 3 days on each side, could bring some conflicts between you and your significant other. And if you're single, maybe it's a conflict with somebody else who's like your work partner. But if you're in a relationship, watch out for fights around like bills and laundry, and who takes out the trash, and who sort of handles these like everyday chore type things. And if you are getting in a fight, maybe it's the time to talk it out and and like come up with a better strategy when it comes to this. On August 29th, Venus enters Libra, your 7th house of relationships and partnerships. And until September 22nd, you will have the goddess of love in the house of marriage. helping you date, helping you get along, helping you make connections and sort of forge new partnerships. If you're looking for more, if you want me to analyze your relationship, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. I'd be happy to answer any questions you have about love, about your year coming up, or your natal chart. For the beautiful Taurus rising, as always, you are Venus, your partner is Mars. Mars, the partner, is in the second house all month, which could suggest that your partner is very money oriented this month. They are working, they're competing, they are hustling, they're starting businesses, they're sort of maybe spending more, maybe making more. If you're single with Mars in the second, you're maybe meeting someone through financial transactions. Maybe it's you who's hustling and who's taking professional action. And so you meet someone while out and about, while sort of making bank. But this is the mindset of the partner. This is where the partner might be hanging out for you, right? Like at the bank, at the accounting office, at your paper supplier, flower supplier, whatnot. The partner might run into some challenges in the middle of the month as Mars squares Saturn. So maybe they're dealing with some kind of roadblocks and something frustrating. And this could be weighing heavy on their mind. You, as Venus, early in the month, Venus is in the 4th house. So you are focusing on home. Maybe you're nesting. Maybe you're redecorating, beautifying, spending more time with family, feeling a little bit more nostalgic. There is, Venus, you will square Uranus and Taurus on August 2nd. So there might be some shakeups in relationships, but also just around your sense of identity, potentially. All of this focus, with the Sun in Leo and New Moon in Leo on the 4th of August on the 4th house could also represent that you're very interested in starting a family right now. Maybe you are, if you just had a baby or you're about to have a baby, maybe you're adjusting your home somehow, you're baby proofing, things like that, or like even moving in with your significant other is a possibility here. Venus will enter Virgo, your 5th house, on August 4th and will stay here until August 29th. So this is suggestive. Venus is in her joy in the 5th house, but she's in her fall in Virgo. So a bit contradictory energy, right? Like I think Venus being in her joy in the 5th house represents that you are interested in dating. You're interested in creating, making art, going to parties, dancing, connecting, having sex. But the critical nature of Virgo might be like the voice in the back of your mind that is stopping you from having fun. And for that, I would really recommend for you guys my Exalted Venus candle. Look how pretty it is. You can also get the oil, but this one is Venus in the sign of exaltation. She's relaxed, she's chill, she's more in the flow and more in the moment. So this could be a really good addition into your candle or oil library this month. But watch out for the Venus sort of being a bit critical, a bit picky. You want a date, but then you notice something about the partner, some little thing, and you harp on it. So you want to be kind of careful. Venus is making some difficult aspects on the 19th when she opposes Saturn in the 11th. So there might be some kind of tension between your romantic side and your friendships or your goals, your dreams for the future. On the 22nd, Venus will square Mars, and since Venus rules you and Mars rules partner, conflicts in relationships are very likely, right? Because Venus, you is in the 5th house. You maybe crave pleasure, maybe you want to go on vacation, but the square to Mars suggests that your partner is like, we don't have the money, not right now. This is not a priority. So some disagreements around pleasure, disagreements around sex, disagreement around parenthood, children, money, all of that is quite likely. For those of you also who are single, maybe you're meeting people through activities that are connected to your child. Maybe you're a single parent and you can meet your love interest at a playground or something like that, or at the kindergarten, or at the kinder store. But yeah, like something related to children, some kind of, you know, party you go to or club you go to. However, Mercury is retrograde in your 5th house as well. And Mercury retrograde lasts between August 5th and 28th, and it starts in Virgo, your 5th house. So between the 5th and 14th of the month, Mercury is retrograde in your 5th house. For some, it might mean someone from the past coming back into your life. An ex, a relationship you haven't quite processed, coming in for the final go-around, right? I mean, of course, sometimes exes come back to stay, but a lot of times they come back to teach us an important lesson. So this could be one of those situations where you are reviewing old relationships, your desires in relationships. If you're in a relationship, Mercury retrograding in the 5th house with Venus there at the same time might be very much a period in which you are feeling dissatisfied with something. You're feeling, you know, like there's no spark, like the mundane has become too strong, or you haven't felt excited about your relationship in a while. So opportunities to reignite the spark are possible here. Just be patient with yourself, with your significant other. Get my exalted Venus or Venus and Taurus candle could be really, really great for you too. August 29th is when Venus enters Libra, her sign of rulership, your 6th house of work, health, and service. We'll stay here until September 22nd. And this is the time when, like, you might start to feel better. I know most of the month, Venus, you, as someone ruled by Venus, are in the sign of its fall. So it might be a bit tough in August. That's why I keep saying I have candles. Sorry, I just really think they can be helpful in August. I'm planning to be lighting them, and I already have some going. There they are, my babies. But anyways, August might be tough just because of that, like, self-critical, tough on yourself, a little bit insecure, a little bit critical of the partners type energy. But I think Venus entering Libra on the 29th of August, going into your 6th house, it's your planet being in the sign of rulership, so you might start to feel better, more secure within yourself, and sort of happier in relationships as well. If you're looking for more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. I'd be happy to look at your natal chart, talk about your relationship or your year to come. The beautiful Gemini rising, you are Mercury, your partner is Jupiter. Gemini is ruled by Mercury, the opposite sign is Sagittarius. This is your partner because that's where the DC is, that's where your 7th house is. Partner is Jupiter. So the theme of Jupiter being in your 1st house continues. Jupiter is in Gemini all the way until June 9th. And that is a sign of partners coming to you. I've been saying this ever since Jupiter entered Gemini on May 25th. But it's lovely, right? It's opportune. It means that you just need to be you right now. If you're single, you just need to go out there and do your thing. Read the book that you like. Go to the library. Go to the pool. Go to the beach. Do the things that are very innate to your identity, and you're likely to meet them. They're more likely to come to you. You don't need to sort of go out of your way. If you're in a relationship and Jupiter being in your 1st house for a year, it could also signify that your partner is very taken by you right now. They're maybe even traveling to see you. They're making efforts to move the relationship forward. They're very, like, interested, committed, right? So in August, you may experience a period of uncertainty somewhat, right? On one hand, we have Mars entering your 1st house, conjoining Jupiter. You have energy, you have initiative, you have courage. But then what happens on the 5th of August? Mercury, your chart ruler, goes retrograde. And between the 5th and the 14th, it will be retrograde in your 4th house, which could suggest that, you are questioning where you live. You're maybe dealing with some family matters, some relationships with the family, maybe rethinking house, rebuilding your house, but you're very like preoccupied with the matters involving sort of home and family. And then from the 14th until the 29th, 14th, 28th, Mercury, retrogrades into Leo, the third house. And this could be the time when you run into kind of challenges involving communication. It could be romantic, right? Like where you feel like there is something that needs to be discussed, something that needs to be said. Because with Jupiter, the partner, being in the first house, it's currently ruled by Mercury. So they are very much ruled by you and your emotions and your feelings. And so you going through this period of like rethinking, readjusting, feeling uncertain might very much affect them as well in the process. So be aware of how you communicate this month. Definitely talk about everything that's on your mind, express your feelings, and communication might feel a little bit tricky, especially between the 14th and the 28th of the month when Mercury is retrograde in Leo. But the more slowly you communicate, the more carefully you communicate, the better. For those single, Venus is in Leo, your third house, until August 4th, which could suggest that you're likely to meet the partner while out and about, while exploring your neighborhood, going to a local coffee shop, a local bar, hanging out with siblings, maybe even meeting someone through a sibling. Venus enters Virgo on August 4th. We'll stay here until August 29th. So this is also Venus in the sign of its fall. I highly recommend my Venus in Libra candle for you guys, because the Gemini rising Libra is your fifth house. And this could be perfect for being more relaxed, more chill, more attractive even. So Venus being in Virgo in the fourth house might suggest that you are retreating a little bit. If you're in a relationship, you know, most of the month, maybe you enjoy spending time indoors, maybe you're having more dates indoors, maybe you're inviting more people over. If you're single, you might be meeting people through like house parties. Just go to more house parties. You're maybe meeting someone through your family. It's like a friend of your father's son or daughter, maybe your love interest. Or someone who's from your hometown, right? Like you've always been maybe interested in foreign people, and then suddenly someone from your hometown, Mercury's retrograde, right, knocks on your door. Maybe it's an ex you dated in high school, and there is that sudden opportunity of like, do we try again? Should we do this again? Of course, Mercury retrograde, be mindful, be kind of aware of things maybe not always being good for you. And there might be, you know, there might be some other kind of romantic challenges when Venus opposes Saturn between the 4th and the 10th on August 19th. There might be a lot of tension, a lot of sort of challenges happening in your career, in your home. Maybe all of those are temporarily kind of distracting you from having romance right now, because you're just so overwhelmed with everything else that's going on. But make sure that if you are already in a relationship, you're not like expressing your frustration with things that are going on in a way that affects your relationship. You know, we tend to hurt people closest to us because they are the closest to us, and sometimes we express frustration in a way that like hurts people we love. So use your mercurial mind to not do it. And then August 22nd could be pretty rough. Venus squares Mars. This is very literally like masculine versus feminine tensions. I do love that on the 29th of August, Venus enters Libra, your fifth house. She'll be in her joy. She'll be in the sign of rulership. That's why I capture Venus in Libra every year. This is the second one. There's going to be another one this year in a sparkly pink jar. So, but Venus entering Libra on the 29th of August all the way until September 22nd is lovely for dating, lovely for experimenting, for having more sex, having more fun, and just being really, really good at magnetically magnetizing, attracting the person you're interested in, bringing romance into your life. And for those relationships, it can also suggest a period in which love feels easier and pleasurable, and you go on fun dates, you explore together, and you enjoy things a lot more. And that will also be, you know, the retrograde will be bye-bye by then. Let me know how this resonates. If you're looking for more, book a reading on my website. I'd be happy to look at your relationship, talk about what's happening in your life, what year ahead has in store, what your natal chart has to say about love and career or anything else you might be interested about. Also, let me know if you're enjoying these videos. That would help. My lovely Cancer risings, you are, of course, ruled by the moon. The moon moves very fast, so you might be someone who is very fast moving, at least emotionally, right? And your 7th house, being the opposite sign, Capricorn, is ruled by Saturn. And so, as I've been saying all year, and will keep saying all the way until early next year when Saturn moves into the 10th, but Saturn has been in the 9th house, which could represent, as mentioned before, a partner who is coming from a different land, a partner who is dealing with some kind of legal issues. Like, let's say you're in a relationship, right? Like right now, your partner might be somewhere far away. Maybe they have traveled for work. Maybe they've traveled for education. Maybe there is some kind of like an element of, you know, they're far away. They're preoccupied mentally, or they're preoccupied physically because they're locationally preoccupied in a different place, right? Or you're doing long distance maybe, or you're planning to do long distance. The partner might be an elder to you, someone who is a teacher, a mentor, coming from the realm of education, someone who's coming from a different land, someone who can teach you things. Like, you're a lot more interested right now in people who are both kind of like emotionally mature, but also intellectual and can like teach you. Mars and Jupiter being in the 12th house suggests that this month you might have a bit of a private attitude. You're maybe taking a lot of action in private. Venus is in Leo. Venus always rules love. She's in the 2nd house of money until August 4th, which for people in relationships might suggest that maybe you are getting more gifts from your partner. Maybe you're spending more money on love and relationships. Maybe you're doing beauty procedures together with your partner. Or just talking about money, opening a bank account with your partner, talking about the future, talking about investments, making investments. If you are single, Venus being in the 2nd house until August 4th could also represent that you may meet someone right now through financial dealings. Going to the bank, talking to an accountant, doing business, signing business deals, like money-making sort of procedures that can bring someone into your life. Venus, the planet of love, enters the sign of her fall, Virgo, on August 4th, will stay in Virgo until August 29th. So in general, you know, starting new relationships with Mercury also going retrograde on the 5th and until August 28th, and Venus being ruled by this Mercury, August is not the best month to start new relationships. Reviewing old relationships is, however, very likely. And since Mercury will be retrograde between your 3rd house and your 2nd houses, I see this as an opportunity to talk things over with your partner about money, about the logistics. Maybe there are things that you're not quite communicating about, and something that is causing a lot of tension, a lot of frustration, something like you really need to address, right? Especially if it's financial matters. None of us really likes talking about money for the most part. It's like a very difficult topic to bring up, especially if things are not going great with money, right? If everything is great, if you're swimming in money, which is funny. I just finished watching Sex and the City, the first sort of series, and as a New Yorker, I was like, this is so unrealistic, because they're just like never struggling with money. Money is just not an issue. And I'm like, that's not how life in New York is. It's just so expensive. Anyways, if you live in New York, let me know if you understand, or if you've been here, if you're like familiar with what I'm talking about. So opportunities to talk about money are quite likely, right? Opportunities to review communication, to review the logistics, discuss sort of things that bother you are quite likely. Venus being in the sign of her fall, I would highly recommend my Venus in Libra 2 candle, or even Exalted Venus candle for this period, because Venus in Virgo, the sign of her fall, might be the time when you're kind of struggling to relax. You're maybe feeling a little bit more critical, a little bit more uptight and frustrated. But, you know, at the same time, like, a great use of this energy would be going on a date that is educational. You and your partner go to learn how to do pottery, or you take a cooking class, something that can stimulate your mind and maybe allow you to be a little bit critical of the process, but still learn something. If you're single, you might be meeting people at those classes, or meeting people while out and about, interacting with neighbors. Maybe it's someone your sibling introduces you to, or someone you meet at like a local coffee shop is another possibility here. On August 19th, we have the full moon in Aquarius, your 8th house, which is another suggestion of some kind of topics involving money. So for people in relationships, the full moon in the 8th house could be the time when you're like having to address some type of disagreements around resources, around values, talk honestly, and come up with some kind of compromise. It's a bit stressful full moon, lots of squares and oppositions are involved. August 29th, Venus enters Libra, your 4th house. So at the very end of the month, we get strong Venus. That's why I highlighted my Venus in Libra 2 candle. But Venus entering Libra at the end of the month might smooth out any drama in relationships that has happened before. It will help you detach a little bit while still be charming and kind of focused on getting along and good at getting along. You might, if single, you might for the next few weeks meet someone at a house party, someone from your hometown, someone who's a friend of a family. And if you're in a relationship, Venus and Libra might also be a sign of like having more dates indoors and craving more sort of intimate time together. If you're looking for more, book a reading on my website. I can talk about your relationship, analyze it, break it down, help you understand it better, your year to come, or your natal chart. For the beautiful Leo risings, you are the sun, royal, bright, noticeable. Your partner, Aquarius, is the descendant, is Saturn. So Saturn is the partner, has been in Pisces, 8th house. It's in Pisces all year, right? So your partner is very maybe financially oriented right now. They may be dealing with some kind of like debts, both actual debts or karmic debts. You know, they're very like preoccupied. And then if single, that might also suggest that your partner might be coming from the 8th house places right now, right? Which is your therapist or therapist's office, another patient of your therapist, someone from the bank, someone in accounting, someone who deals with emergencies, right? Like 8th house is the place of sort of life and death type situations. So the partner that comes from that and also like has that awareness of how to deal with emergencies and how to navigate challenges is who you find attractive right now. The sun, you, is in Leo until August 22nd, so is Venus until August 4th, which is a sign of more charm, more you're self-oriented on many levels right now, which is pretty good, right? There's nothing wrong with being self-oriented. You are, with Leo season, you are in this period of reinvention and you're very self-aware. You're very body aware. You're maybe exercising, taking better care of yourself, focusing on yourself and kind of, you know, growing very much. And Venus being here until the 4th is also very nice because it's the sign of being more charming. So it's easier to attract the people that you like, and it's easier to get along in relationships. Sadly, it doesn't last very long. Venus enters Virgo on the 4th of the month, stays in Virgo until the 29th. And then Mercury also is retrograde. So it's like, it's a tricky month, right? Because we have a lot of energy of reviewing, redoing, rethinking. And it's not the best time to like make important decisions. It is a good time to take a step back and kind of, because it's so focused on you, it's so focused on your identity, it's also focused on your finances with the retrograde and Venus in the 2nd house of money. There are plenty of opportunities to kind of ask yourself, what do you value? What's important to you? What do you want to attract if you're single? And if you're in a relationship, it can also be an opportunity to clear any debts, to pay off any sort of loans and debts you have, maybe even address some kind of, challenges involving unspoken debts and agreements you have with others that are holding you back from moving forward in your relationship. Since we are talking about love in this video, it's like, right, like what kind of debts you have that are holding you back from moving forward into like a better romantic future. Venus being in Virgo in the 2nd house from the 4th until 29th of the month could suggest that you're likely to meet a partner through a financial institution, through paying bills, through talking to accountants. You might be more focused on resources in your relationships, right? Like talk more about money. It is Venus in her fall, and she will be ruled by Mercury retrograde. So not only she's in her fall, but the planet she's responding to is retrograde, right? Which is not great for love. She's going to be squaring Mars on the 22nd. She'll be opposing Neptune on the 28th. There's just a lot of kind of uncertainty, a lot of frustration, like I said, maybe about money, maybe about resources that you're addressing. And if you're single, right, maybe there's problems you have to face and debts you have to pay before you start dating. And if you're in a relationship, I said that already, right? But I would highly recommend that you get my Venus in Libra candle, because this could be really good, or Venus in Taurus. This could be really good for softening some of the challenges of this month. And there might be plenty of challenges this month. And even, like I mentioned, Mercury retrograde, just try to talk honestly about things that are bothering you. On August 19th, there is a full moon in Aquarius, your 7th house of relationships. It's a tense full moon. It squares Uranus in the 10th house of career. Your needs versus your partner's needs versus your relationship demands versus your career, right? How to make sense of it all. Something will need to be maybe sacrificed, maybe released, maybe rethought, maybe postponed. The full moon in the 7th house is very much the time to examine relationships from like the honest, realistic perspective. And it could offer a chance to break through, especially with Uranus, and a chance to try and do things very differently, or it could suggest a breakdown. I'm always kind of thinking of this example of like, you get a job offer, you get an opportunity to move to London, and what happens with your relationship? Do you move together, and does it fast track your relationship and suggest that you're moving in and you're moving faster than you would have liked? Or do you break up and separate and let things go? So some of these questions might be coming up for you this month. On August 29th, Venus enters Libra. Your 3rd house will be here until September 22nd. For singles, this is great for meeting people in the neighborhood. Ask your sibling to introduce you to someone. You might be dating a neighbor. You might get a new neighbor who's charming and attractive. If you're in a relationship, you're maybe going on more dates. You're maybe hanging out with sort of neighbors, doing double dates and stuff like that. And having easier time communicating and getting along. This is truly a beautiful transit for Venus. If you're looking for more, book a reading on my website, AnastasiaDoesAstrology.com. I'd be happy to talk about your year to come, break down your relationship, or talk about your natal chart and what it has what it is, what it's about, what it's promising for your life. Moving on to Virgo rising. If you are Virgo rising, you are Mercury. Your partner is Jupiter. So Jupiter is easy. Let's start with Jupiter. Jupiter has been in Gemini since May 25th, stays here until June 9th. It's your 10th house, and Jupiter rules your 7th, right? So it could be a sign that the partner is very career oriented for this year. They're exploring new projects, they're growing, they're taking new opportunities, they're maybe teaching or guiding others. If single, it might suggest that the partner is currently in the career sector, which might mean you're meeting them through business dealings, through work. There may be your boss, there may be someone in authority position, in a position of authority. I feel like I was gonna say something else about this placement. Jupiter will square Saturn in the middle of the month. This is active pretty much the entire month. Saturn is in your 7th house, right? So Jupiter, the partner, will have to face with some kind of challenge of Saturn in the 7th. Your relationship might have to face a challenge, right? Saturn is in your 7th house all year, so questions around hardship, around commitment, around saying no to things are very present. So for single people, this could be a job opportunity versus a relationship, right? Do you say yes to a promotion that requires you to work harder and spend more time in the office? Or do you say no because there is a stronger focus on finding the right partner because maybe you feel like that is more of a priority? Or does the partner deal with some kind of challenge? Saturn in the 7th, it's retrograde. Neptune is retrograde in your 7th. Could suggest that you're very much dealing with relationship difficulties, and maybe not even you, but the partner is going through something. Like the partner is struggling or experiencing a sense of like challenge. They're somehow challenged, and the partner going through that challenges your relationship as well. So with you being Mercury, Mercury goes retrograde this month, and you might experience a sense of turning around, rethinking something. Maybe you're rethinking an old relationship. Mercury starts the retrograde on the 5th in Virgo, in your house of identity. It will be opposing your 7th house, right? So questions around who am I, what I want, what's important to me will be very dominant, and they will affect your relationship potentially, especially if you're realizing that you are a yoga teacher and that requires you to go to Bali to get your yoga certification, and then the relationship sort of follows, right? But yeah, Mercury retrograding from the 1st into the 12th house could be very much like a sign that you're in a period of like review, and maybe it's not the best time to start a new relationship this month, but it could be a good time to get clear on what you want and what is attractive to you and what do you want to bring into your life. But just be ready for some kind of a sense of uncertainty this month. Venus enters Virgo on August 4th. Will be here until August 29th. While this is exciting, this is not quite as exciting as it might be. In general, you know, positive things, right? Like Venus being in your 1st house is the time you feel more attractive. It's the time you are more charming. You're going to have that like humble Venusian charm, that sort of clean, beautiful, neat, perfect, sort of shy energy that might attract someone your way. At the same time, why is it a bit difficult? That is because Venus is in her fall in Virgo. I highly recommend my Exalted Venus, Venus in Pisces candle, because this falls in your 7th house of relationships. I have oils, but this could soften romantic matters, can help you get along. And look at the beautiful color of this candle. It's also decorated with aquamarine stones and smells like the ocean. I love it. Definitely get that to help you get through the more difficult energy of the month. But Venus being in her fall could be a sign that you're finding flaws with a lot of things. You're struggling being present. You're struggling enjoying things. Let's say there's like a new relationship, a new partner, and all you're focusing on is their shortcomings instead of the possibility of the beautiful romance. Can also be a sign that you're more critical of yourself, and that is slowing you down romantically. Another reason why Venus is more compromised is that she's ruled by Mercury, which is retrograde the whole time Venus is in Virgo, right? So this sense of like beauty that you might enjoy otherwise, if it was just Venus in Virgo and just Venus in her fall, is compromised by the fact that Mercury is in this place of like, who am I? What do I want? What kind of relationship do I want? So just like a lot of uncertainty, a lot of doubt and challenges, especially around August 19th, 3 days before, 3 days after. Venus in the first house will oppose Saturn in the 7th and square Jupiter in the 10th. This is also the time of the full moon that is pretty intense. So some tensions between your joy, your pleasure, and those stresses, challenges in relationships. On the 22nd, 3 days before, 3 days after, Venus will square Mars. Venus is in the 1st, you embody her, squares Mars in the 10th. Maybe disagreements with your partner, conflicts, maybe just something at work that is affecting your joy. On the 28th, another sign of confusion in relationships as Venus opposes Neptune in your 7th. Just avoid making sort of big decisions. Try to be mindful, I'd say, this month. On August 29th, Venus will enter Libra, your second house, and that would be a blessing because Venus is in rulership in Libra. It could suggest, if you're single, meeting a partner through a financial procedure, going to the bank, applying for a loan, talking to your accountant, paying a bill in person. And if you're in a relationship, this could make things easier just in general in terms of communication, and maybe suggest that you and your partner are talking about investing into something together, or you're getting more like gifts from them. If you're looking for more, book a reading on my website, AnastasiaDoesAstrology.com. I'd be happy to look at your natal chart, talk about your relationship, discuss your year to come, and anything else you might be curious to know about. The beautiful Libra rising, as always, you are Venus, your partner is Mars. Mars is all month in Gemini. Gemini is your 9th house, so it could suggest that the partner is traveling. The partner is coming from a foreign land. Maybe you're in long distance right now, or maybe you are traveling and you're meeting the partner in a foreign place. That's if you're single. The partner might be involved in some kind of legal battle, some kind of like legal matter that's on their mind. There might be studying, there might be teaching. Once again, they might be coming from a place of education. They might be coming from a place of sort of philosophical knowledge. If you go to a yoga school, maybe you start dating a yoga teacher. Or they're a lawyer, right? Like dating a lawyer, a teacher, a mentor, guide is very likely, and finding them attractive is quite likely. Mars will square Saturn on August 16th. So that is Mars, the ruler of your house of relationships, square Saturn, the ruler of the house of home, family, living situation, children. So it might suggest that the partner is dealing with some kind of issue involving parenthood, family, home. Or it might suggest that maybe there is also like Saturn being in the 6th house. Maybe there's a health issue, there's a work issue, there is something that is making them feel frustrated. You might also feel frustrated. It's not the funnest energy, I'm not gonna lie. Venus, early in the month, Venus is in Leo, and you're networking, you're going out, you're creating content, spending time with friends, you're feeling more social. From August 4th until August 28th, 29th, Venus enters Virgo. This is your 12th house. This is Venus in the dark house. This is Venus in the sign of her fall, and Venus ruled by Mercury retrograde. Get my Venus in Libra 2 candle or oil. I have one going right now. I'm a Libra rising. This is not going to be the funnest Venus period. And as someone ruled by Venus, which Libra risings and Taurus risings are, you will feel it very strongly, right? So Venus being in the 12th, the time of confusion, the time of uncertainty. If you're single, you are maybe reviewing old relationships. Maybe someone from your past is knocking on your door, coming back into your life. Like I said, Mercury is retrograde at the same time, between the 5th and the 28th. Venus is there, Mercury is retrograde, ruling Venus. So feeling confused, feeling uncertain. Watch out for making poor decisions, because there might be that desire in Venus and Virgo to save someone, to rescue, to cater, to protect. And you might find yourself in a pickle, a green colored dress, but you might find yourself in a tricky situation, right? If you're in a relationship, this might also be the time of confusion. This might be the time when you're feeling unsure, you're feeling insecure, you're feeling self-critical. Venus in the 12th is the house of self-defeating tendencies, so doing things that mess with you and mess with your relationship, like, you know, picking on your partner or cheating on your partner or doing something that is like somehow destructive. You might do it subconsciously. Just beware of that. And like Venus will be making a bunch of harsh aspects as well. On the 19th, she's squaring Jupiter in the 9th, opposing Saturn in the 6th. So she's like sort of being beat up on by Saturn in the house of work and Jupiter in the house of growth. So somehow she feels challenged. On the 22nd, Venus will square Mars. So this is you in the 12th house, maybe this uncertain, confused, or craving escape. That's actually a healthy manifestation of Venus in the 12th house, going away with your partner, escaping reality, sort of going someplace else. Or once again, if single, dating someone who has escaped reality, someone spiritual, right? Someone high-minded. Do not date someone who's escaped reality through addictive behaviors, because that's another danger here. But on the 22nd, 3 days before, 3 days after, Venus will square Mars. And there's like 5 trucks outside. Well, one big one left. Yay. But this is very literal, you know, you versus your partner. You are Venus in Virgo, ruled by Mercury retrograde, confused, uncertain, self-critical. Mars is in the 9th house, also ruled by Mercury retrograde. You may run into some kind of ideological conflict. You may deal with like some kind of disagreement, frustration. Like, watch out, be careful, right? Beware of like making things bigger than what they are. 27th is a bit of a reprieve. Venus trines Uranus. Maybe you find a way to break through. But then on the 28th, Venus opposes Neptune in the 6th. And once again, you may run into some kind of like tiredness, health issue, work problem that is, to be honest, quite frustrating. August 19th, we have the full moon in Aquarius, your 5th house. This is not the easiest full moon once again. Venus, you on that day opposes Saturn, squares Jupiter. You feel a lot of pressures, you feel a lot of restrictions. You feel like things are not going the way you'd like them to. And then there's a full moon in Aquarius in the 5th house of parenthood, children, pleasure, romance, in a square to Uranus in the 8th house of money and values. So if there are any kind of major disagreements you have in your relationship, like you want to get married, your partner never wants to get married. You want to have kids, they never want to have kids. Full moon in the 5th could be the time you part ways. Or you break through something, you make some kind of sacrifice, right? Like a serious decision needs to be made, commitment may need to be made. So a relationship might move forward, but not without a sense of like heaviness and difficulty. But hopefully, hopefully there's a way to break through. I wish for all of you that you will break through and things will grow better and stronger. It doesn't necessarily look like easy at all. When I was like creating my planner for 2024 last year, I remember highlighting this full moon as like what a you know, S-storm. On the 29th of August, things start to look up finally. Venus enters Libra, your first house. This is the candle, the energy that I really like, that I captured last year, I will capture this year. We'll stay here until September 22nd. You're finally coming out of hiding. You're feeling more confident. You've been shedding things, you've been releasing things, rethinking, transforming, and then Venus enters Libra. And you feel great at manifesting, you feel more charming, you feel more attractive, and the universe smiles at you. There's also a trine to Pluto on the 29th, which could be very passionate and loving and kind. So we do have silver lining, sort of, you know, rainbow after the storm, after that S-storm that I don't want to say. So if you're looking for more, book a reading on my website. We can talk about your natal chart, your year to come, or break down your relationship. Talk about how compatible you are and what can be done to improve things. If you are a Scorpio rising, you are Mars. Your partner is Venus, right? Your Scorpio ruled by Mars. Your 7th house is Taurus, ruled by Venus. So you are, as Mars, the entire month, Mars is in the 8th house. You're focused on money, you're focused on debts, you're focused on collaborations, getting scholarships, getting loans, getting mortgages, joining forces with other people, healing other people if you're a therapist, transforming things, right? You're like in the 8th house, which is the place of other people's resources, their mental health problems, their challenges. It's also the house of emergencies, death and rebirth. So you're like in the midst of it all. There might be some challenges involving resources available and pleasure. Maybe pleasure, like sexual challenges too, like a sense like, you know, you haven't had it in a while and it feels frustrating. Because Mars, you will square Saturn in the 5th house, and Jupiter in the 8th house will also square Saturn in the 5th house, like in the middle of the month. And so the square to Saturn can potentially suggest that, you know, there might be, with Mars and Jupiter in the 8th, you're very much like deeply involved, intimately involved with other people. You're maybe deeply and intimately involved in a romantic relationship, or in building a business, or in like some kind of like healing, transforming, connecting with other people. And then the square to Saturn in the 5th suggests that there is roadblocks involving pleasure and sex. Like I said, maybe some kind of sexual frustration, parenthood, maybe some tension surrounding like our child needs a new school, but I was gonna spend this money on something else. Disagreements with your romantic partner around resources, and this is actually very much highlighted as like Venus, they will square Mars on you, so you and them will potentially have some kind of conflict around August 22nd, 3 days before, 3 days after, which can involve resources, of course. You know, if you're single, you shouldn't worry about this as much, but there might be still some kind of important questions around like romance and dating right now with Saturn in the 5th house can feel a little bit like a chore, like something you need to schedule, something you need to commit to. So I feel like this month might very much highlight the fact that things are not going smoothly and you have to put the extra effort. Sometimes you do. Nothing can be done about that. Sometimes you just have to. So Venus being the planet that rules your partner, she's in Leo, 10th house until August 4th, which represents that the partner might be working really hard. They might be focused on professional matters. They might be trying to reach new heights, connecting with other people professionally. On August 4th and until August 29th, Venus will enter Virgo. And this is a bit of a trickier one because Venus in Virgo is in her fall. And so somehow your partner might be in its fall, right? They might be going through a bit of a tough time. Not only Venus in Virgo is in her fall, but she's ruled by Mercury, and Mercury's retrograde between the 5th and the 28th of August. So the partner, whether it's an actual partner or your romantic interest, might be struggling somehow. That's why I highly recommend one of my candles, specifically Exalted Venus or Venus in Taurus for you guys, because that would soften romantic matters and even help your partner enjoy life a little bit more, especially during August. So, you know, if you're in a relationship and partner Venus is in the 11th house in its fall, ruled by the retrograde, maybe the partner feels a little bit uncertain about their future, about their dreams and goals, or maybe they're dealing with some kind of friendship issues, with some kind of frustrations, the lack of joy, the lack of like clarity on some level. And if you're single, Venus being in the 11th house could suggest that you're getting excited about a friend. Maybe you're sort of starting to see a friend in a romantic light, but because Venus is in her fall and ruled by Mercury retrograde, maybe it doesn't quite go the way you plan, or that friend is dealing with some kind of their own situation with an ex. With Mercury being retrograde there at the same time, I can also see an ex coming back into your life, especially if it's someone you were friends with in the past but didn't quite get to the romantic stage, or maybe, you know, maybe you dated, you became friends. That's where some of romance can be happening right now too. I think I mentioned already, but I'm going to say it again. So August 22nd, the square between Venus, the partner, and Mars, you, might come about, and it might involve friendships, it might involve money, it might involve sort of resources between the two of you. So beware. And then the full moon in Aquarius on the 19th of the month highlights your 4th house and has a lot of squares, a lot of tension. It squares Uranus in Taurus in your 7th house as well. So brings an element of like breakthrough, breakdown in a relationship, surprise involving a partner, affecting your home life, your family life, right? Like maybe something happens in the partner's life and it affects your relationship with their family, like the way you look at the family, or something happens in their life and you are deciding to move in together to help them somehow. Some kind of like surprise shakeup in the relationship sector that then kind of trickles into the home family living situation and maybe brings a change there. So maybe, maybe a partner finds out that their lease gets terminated early and you decide to move in together. Or maybe a partner's family is being too intrusive and you're kind of forced to set better boundaries with them. It's not the most joyful full moon. It's full of tension, so beware of that. On August 29th, Venus enters Libra. Your 12th house will stay here until September 22nd. And while Venus in the 12th house could suggest dating people who are not good for you, finding sort of drama attractive and instigating drama, it could also be positive for getting away with your significant other, for dating a foreigner, dating a spiritual person, someone who has transcended some of the challenges of life and escaped sort of the difficulties through mindfulness. If you're looking for more, you want to understand what your relationship is all about, how to make it better, stronger. If you want to get a natal chart reading or find out what your ahead has in store, book a reading on my website, AnastasiaDoesAstrology.com. If you are a Sagittarius rising, you are Jupiter. Sag is ruled by Jupiter. Your partner is Mercury because your 7th house is Gemini. So Jupiter, has been in Gemini, the 7th house of relationships, since May 25th. Will stay here until June 9th, 2025. This is beneficial for relationships of all kind, for partnerships. It doesn't have to be just romantic, but anytime you have to join forces with other people, this is good. But it also is a sign that you are very relationship oriented this year. You're very focused on getting along, starting new relationships, dating, partnering up, moving things forward, right? It could be the time you move in with your significant other, you like start a relationship, you get engaged, get married, get pregnant. There's a lot of possibilities, and this lasts a full year, so it's a quite like a busy time. Mars is also in your 7th house all month, which is another indicator of your romantic life being more active. For those single, you feel driven to partner up, you feel driven to start a new relationship, you feel driven to take action, right? You're very proactive. It could be the sign that there's maybe more turnaround in your love life. It could be the sign that you're going on more active dates. If you are, watch out for fighting a little bit more too, because Mars can very much suggest that you're feeling like speaking your mind and being direct and being honest to a point that maybe that results in fights, especially around August 19th and 22nd as Venus squares Mars and Venus opposes Saturn. There might be some, and Venus also squares Jupiter. There might be some issues involving home, family, living situation, mortgage payments, anything like that. So try to navigate this with care and patience. Mars and Jupiter will both square Saturn between August 16th, 19th, 10 days on each side, right? So this could suggest that something in your romantic life, a new relationship possibility, a new exciting connection, or an existing relationship, marriage, gets somehow blocked, restricted, delayed by a family member who's against it. Sort of, you're ready to move in with your partner, but their mother doesn't want you moving in or something, and they live with in their mother's house. Or maybe, maybe there is like some type of situation with the child, with their child or their family or your family, or just like something about your living arrangements or family dynamics somehow blocks you. So of course, Saturn will encourage you to take it one step at a time, to navigate things with patience and calmness as much as possible. As your partner, since your partner is ruled by Mercury, they might also be going through a bit of a challenging time this month. Mercury goes retrograde and is retrograde most of the month. So be ready for things to be a little bit confusing, right? Because Mercury rules your partner. It might affect your partner more than it affects you. And of course, for everyone, Mercury going retrograde could suggest someone from your past coming into your life, maybe someone you used to work with in the past, or someone who worked like close to you in the past. But Mercury is retrograde between August 5th and August 28th. And that is a sign that the partner, it's like the retrograde starts in the 10th and goes into the 9th. So it could be the sign that your partner is rethinking their career, feeling a little bit uncertain, redoing some of the work, maybe traveling backwards, something, going back to an old job is possible, right? Taking exams, just going on travels, like somehow they are looking back and retracing their steps. If you are single, there might be, like I said, someone from the past coming into your life. It's also more likely right now, this month, since Venus spends so much time in Virgo, it's more likely to meet someone through the job. Venus is in her fall in Virgo, and Venus is ruled by Mercury retrograde the entire time she's in Virgo this year. So a possibility of relationship feeling confusing is very high at this time. It's through the roof, right? And Venus will be opposing Saturn in the 4th, squaring Jupiter, you, in the 7th. So once again, some kind of tension, some kind of conflicts and misunderstandings are likely And then the 22nd, similar thing. I highly recommend getting my Venus in Libra 2 candle for you guys, because this one was actually created with Sagittarius on the ascendant, and it can help soften some of the drama, as well as Mercury in Virgo. Any Mercury Venus candle is perfect for August, because there's just a lot of uncertainty in those areas. The full moon in Aquarius on August 19th is potentially quite intense, and it highlights the T-square between Venus and Virgo, Jupiter and Gemini, your 7th house, and Saturn in Pisces. So I sort of feel like there's a need to address things rationally, maybe have some tough conversations, explore things that are frustrating you instead of trying to stifle them and hide from them. So talking, being honest in relationships is quite likely. And then on August 29th, Venus will enter Libra, your 11th house, which for singles might suggest that you are starting to date a friend, or you're meeting someone through a networking event, you're going to a wedding, an engagement party, and you're meeting someone there. And if you're in a relationship, there might be more double dates with your friends, more like volunteering with your significant other, or more sort of projects you take on together. If you're looking for more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. I'd be happy to look at your natal chart, analyze your relationship, or talk about your year to come. For the beautiful Capricorn risings, you are Saturn. Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. Your partner is the moon. As Saturn ruled, you are in this period, with Saturn being in the 3rd house, of revising your communication, studying, exploring and investing into your skills, like maybe learning how to write better, how to speak better, how to communicate better, right? Which is similar to how to speak, but like you're in this period of like both dealing with maybe frustrations, restrictions involving logistics and skills and hobbies, but also you're focused on like improving things and perfecting yourself. Mercury's retrograde this month, right? Which could suggest that there is Mercury's retrograding between your 9th and your 8th houses, which could suggest, especially Mercury being in the... So the retrograde starts on the 5th of August, lasts until August 28th. And it's retrograde in Leo, which is your 8th house, between August 14th and August 28th. And the retrograde in the 8th house could suggest that you're looking at the questions of fairness and balance and harmony in your relationship, and potentially needing to have honest conversations. Talk about money, talk about resources, talk about agreements, you know, who pays for what in a relationship, who says thank you and how they say thank you, like any kind of disagreements around money, but also just like agreements you have in a relationship will be highlighted, and the retrograde will encourage you to have honest conversations, and maybe address uncomfortable topics as well, I would say. Venus is of course connected to relationships, so it's worth mentioning that Venus is in Leo early in the month, which is your 8th house, which might suggest if you're in a relationship, Venus being in the 8th house might suggest that your partner is doing better financially. They're maybe getting bonuses, getting resources, being more generous with you. If you're single, Venus being in the 8th can suggest that you're more attracted to people who are spiritual, who are sort of aware of astrology, aware of tarot, people who are maybe working in an unpredictable work environment, maybe dealing with emergencies, people who sort of have this like unafraid element to them. Or people who work in finance too, right? Like Venus, I want a man in finance. Venus in the 8th could also be a sign that like dating your accountant, dating your mortgage broker, your insurance agent is also could be right now. Venus enters Virgo on August 4th, stays here until August 9th. So Venus in the 9th house could be positive for feeling attracted to foreigners, right? Feeling attracted to people you meet at a foreign place, someone you meet at an airport, someone who is educated, someone who's well-spoken, who speaks a foreign language. You feel attracted right now to people who can teach you something, people who are different, people who are exciting somehow. If in a relationship, Venus in the 9th might suggest that you're traveling with your significant other, traveling to see them, or they're coming to see you. You may be driven to take a class together, to learn a skill together. This could be challenging as well because Venus is in her fall in Virgo, which the danger of being critical, picky, too caught up in the details, struggling to enjoy the moment might be quite strong right now. You know, watch out for being too critical of your partner, too harsh on them. There might be some communication difficulties around August 19th, some conflicts around August 22nd, as Venus opposes Saturn and squares Mars. Highly recommend my Venus in Libra candle because this one has a relaxed, easy, relationship-oriented, harmonizing energy and can help you navigate and sort of get through the more difficult energy of Venus in her fall. Especially, you know, it's not just Venus in her fall, it's Venus being ruled by Mercury, also retrograde. So lots of potential for misunderstandings, for ideological debates, for uncertainty in relationships, even a sense of like confusion and misunderstandings and like hurt feelings later in the month as Venus opposes Neptune between the 25th, 28th of August. I do like that on the 27th, Venus trines Uranus in your 5th house. So even just sort of having a passionate night or going to a trivia, playing a game could like help alleviate some of the stress too. The full moon in Aquarius in the second house, the full moon in Aquarius, your 2nd house on August 19th, squares Uranus in the 5th, has potential also to highlight any disagreements around money and resources in your relationship, maybe encourage some kind of change. Very fitting with the sun being in Leo, Mercury being retrograde in Leo at that point. Like, what are you not talking about? What are your needs in a relationship? What are the financial agreements that maybe could be changed somehow and improved? All of these will be important, and hopefully this full moon will offer some opportunities for change. On August 29th, Venus enters Libra, your 10th house. She will be here until September 22nd. This could suggest dating someone in power, dating someone you work with, or your boss or a colleague, dating someone who is inspirational to you professionally, maybe someone who's like of higher status, who is a celebrity of some kind, is a possibility. And if you are in a relationship, Venus entering Libra might suggest that you are working with your partner somehow, starting projects together, brainstorming ideas together, creating together. But overall, this is a positive shift because we've had Venus in the fall, Mercury retrograde, and then later in the month when Venus enters Libra, we start to feel better. If you're looking for more book or reading on my website, AnastasiaDoesAstrology.com, I'd be happy to look at your relationship, your year to come, your natal chart, talk about your love life in general, and more. If you are the beautiful Aquarius rising, Aquarius traditionally is ruled by Saturn, and your 7th house would be Leo, which is ruled by the Sun. So your Saturn partner is the Sun. Saturn is in Pisces all year. It's currently retrograde, so you might be reviewing some matters involving money, some matters involving values, maybe sort of questioning what is worth your time, what is worth committing to spending on, maybe dealing with some kind of, you know, old debts, finances, payments, things that are important to you. The partner, being the Sun, is in Leo until August 22nd in your 7th house, which is the partner in their domicile, in their own domain, feeling more confident, feeling more secure, on some level being more visible to you. Maybe you are going on more dates, maybe you're talking about the future, discussing long-term potential of your relationship. And then the sun enters Virgo on August 22nd, will stay here until September 22nd. And this might suggest that the partner becomes a little bit more money oriented, maybe focusing on paying off debts, making more, even like healing, because 8th house is not just money, but it's also debts that are karmic debts, sort of engagements with other people might be highlighted at the time. So this month is quite, I think, still quite busy romantically, even with the sun being in Leo, right, all the way until August 22nd. And Mercury will be in Leo right after that. So, and then Mercury will also be retrograde in Leo. So there is a lot going on romantically. Mars has joined Jupiter on August 20th in your 5th house, which suggests more action. Mars is in the 5th house all month. It conjoins Jupiter on August 14th. So there is potential for more action romantically, right? Mars is full of energy. Mars is ready. Mars is courageous. You are driven to have fun. You're driven to maybe explore sexually and romantically. You're driven to go on more dates. You're driven to have sex and make babies. Mars and Jupiter in the 5th house could be conception of something. Of course, it doesn't have to be of a baby, but conception of some pleasure project together, or, you know, some kind of new beginning in your love life, potentially. However, Mars and Jupiter will both square Saturn, and this is you. They will square you and your chart ruler in the 2nd house between August 16th and 19th, but give it 10 days on each side. What could this mean? This could mean that whatever you are dealing with, finances, resources, values, something that is like holding you back, some sort of sense of dissatisfaction, some sense of like a lack of appreciation or a lack of like professional success maybe, or a debt you're waiting on, that somehow might affect your desire for pleasure and romance and even parenthood, right? Some type of like conflict surrounding money with a partner is possible. Some kind of challenge involving values, like having different values when it comes to parenthood, when it comes to having babies, or when it comes to pleasure and love and future. So having to deal with those tensions is quite likely this month. Until the 4th of the month, Venus is in Leo in your 7th house. So early on, things might go quite well. There's also a new moon in Leo, your 7th house, on the 4th of the month, which is also a sign of new beginnings in relationships. It sextiles Mars and Jupiter in the 5th. So also, once again, relationship that involves more pleasure, that involves parenthood, that involves some kind of conception. Even starting a business with your significant other is quite likely here. And for those single, starting a new relationship, right? Like starting something new. When things get rocky is when Venus enters Virgo, your 8th house. She's here from the 4th until the 29th. And then when Mercury goes retrograde from Virgo into Leo between the 5th and the 28th of the month. So Venus in Virgo is Venus in her fall, and this time around she's also ruled by Mercury retrograde. So double confusion, double the fun, right? So Venus in the 8th could suggest that you are reviewing fairness in relationship. You are reviewing money in relationship. You're having to have some conversations about what feels good for you, what doesn't feel good for you. You like have to be honest, have to be direct about it. You know, if you feel like you've been paying for more things and your partner hasn't been, or like you're more concerned about the debts that you have and your partner is just being chill, you will need to talk it out. And that is very much like with Mercury being retrograde here. Mercury's retrograde in your 8th house between the 5th and the 14th, and then it's retrograde in the 7th house between 14th and 28th of August. So early on, it might be about money. Later on, it might be about long-term potential of the relationship. Someone from your past may knock on your door, especially between 14th and 28th as Mercury is retrograde in the 7th house. All in all, I think the message here is like you need to talk about things, whether it's with the ex, whether it is in your love life with people you're dating, swiping on, or it's in your existing relationship, you need to talk it out. You need to be honest. You need to discuss some uncomfortable things so that you can move forward and have more alignment. Yeah. Some drama is possible on the 19th for sure. On the 22nd, there's a full moon in Aquarius on the 19th. It squares Uranus in your 4th. Full moon in Aquarius is an opposition between the moon in your 1st house of identity, between the sun in your house of relationships, and Uranus in the 4th house of home and family living situation. So some type of situation in which you have to decide what is important to you. How can you have a relationship while still taking care of your needs? Maybe some kind of personal transformation in response to a change in the family, in response to pregnancy, right? In response to something going on with a child or something happening in a relationship. That full moon has a lot of tense energy, a lot of possible, sort of conflicts around money, values, resources, and very much the time for you to ask a question of like, what is it that you want? What is it that you're willing to compromise with? And what is it that you don't want to compromise on? And single or in a relationship, this applies. August 29th, Venus enters Libra, your 9th house. Venus in Libra is Venus in rulership. So it can soften and help us fix all of the problems we've dealt with, romantic drama that we faced. Venus in Libra will make it easier, smoother, calmer. If you are in a relationship, this might be the period between the 29th of August, September 22nd to travel with your significant other, to take classes, to learn dancing, to take a cooking class. And if you're, that is for those in relationship. And then if you're single, you might meet someone while traveling. You might start dating someone foreign, someone you meet at the airport, someone you meet at a class. Someone who can like open your mind and teach you new things. Let me know how this resonates. If you're looking for more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. We can talk about your relationship, discuss its strengths, weaknesses, talk about how to make it better. We can talk about your natal chart or your year to come, whatever you prefer. If you are a Pisces rising, you are Jupiter, your partner is Mercury. So with Jupiter being in Gemini from May 25th until June 9th, you are in the year of being more focused on home, starting a family, building a comfortable and secure space for yourself, connecting with family, and maybe also even like healing some of the past, finding sort of more meaning in what you've been through. The partner being Mercury suggests that the partner will be going through a bit of an identity crisis this month because Mercury is going retrograde on August 5th and will be retrograde all the way until August 28th. So, so this month, right, we have Venus in Virgo in your 7th house from the 4th until the 29th of the month. And we have Mercury retrograde in Virgo from the 5th until the 14th, and then in Leo from the 14th until the 28th. So Venus being in Virgo, in general, could be, she would want to date. She would suggest that you are focused on dating and partnering up, and if you're single, there might be more interest in putting yourself out there, swiping, downloading, installing apps, right? If you're in a relationship, you may want to go on more dates, you may want to spend more time with your partner. Venus is in her fall in Virgo. That's why I would highly recommend my Exalted Venus candle for you and for your relationship this month, because it might be tricky. And also Mercury in Virgo for the relationship drama to help sort of ease it as much as possible. But Venus being in her fall might suggest that you will run into issues of criticism, whether it is from you or from your partner. Like, you get excited about someone, but they say things that make you feel uncomfortable. Or they deal with sort of, you know, sense of uncertainty, and they're sort of like going through a tough time, especially because Mercury rules your house of relationships. Mercury is retrograde between the 5th and the 28th of the month. So the partner might be feeling uncertain, feeling burdened, feeling burned out, right? They might be feeling kind of like they might be also dealing with some kind of health issues. They might be like trying to figure out who they are. Exes, people from your past knocking on your door, very likely, because the retrograde starts off in your 7th house. And this is very much like, you know, past knocking on your door. But also, like, you know, definitely watch out for taking exes back. But also, if you're in a relationship or even single, right? Like, asking important questions about what you want and what you're attracting, and how your beliefs, how your childhood, how your past history is affecting your present. And maybe looking for opportunities to heal and transform and like release some of the past. Venus in the 7th will square Mars in the 4th on August 22nd. Venus in the 7th will oppose Saturn in your 1st on August 19th. So tensions between relationship and personal identity, relationship and responsibilities you have, even relationship and family, and like maybe, you know, what you see family being and what your partner sees family being are quite likely. So once again, having to talk about things, having to navigate some of those more difficult conversations with honesty, acceptance, and understanding are, I think, some of the lessons here. August 29th, Venus enters Libra, your 8th house. And for those single, this could suggest that you're becoming more interested in people who are spiritual, who are healers, who work in unpredictable emergency type situations. 8th house is the place of death and rebirth. You might meet them through that type of situation, like you take your dog to the urgent vet visit and you meet them there. Maybe they're a nurse. Are there veterinarian nurses? I bet there are, right? Like veterinarians probably have nurses too. Or, you know, you're getting attracted to someone who's your astrologer, or you're dating an accountant. Getting interested in your accountant is likely. And then if you're in a relationship, Venus and Libra between August 29th and September 22nd could suggest that you are that your partner is growing financially, the partner is experiencing a better kind of flow of money. Maybe they're being more generous with you and you're kind of benefiting through them improving financially. That is quite likely. Let me know how this resonates. If you're looking for more, book a reading on my website, anastasiadoesastrology.com. I can talk about your relationship, help you understand it better, or help you understand yourself better, talk about your natal chart, your year to come, and more. This is it. I hope you've been enjoying these videos. Please share if you want me to keep making them. I feel like I've been consistently making them for a while, but it's still a little bit of a trial period. So I hope you're enjoying them. I hope August will be a decent month for all of us. More beautiful than stressful. It definitely has its challenges, but you know, if we got through other transits, we can get through this one and have a good time. I hope you enjoy the month, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.